My name is Sameh Soliman. I'm a current D2 student at ASDOH, Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health. Finishing up the last semester of D2 year, and then hopefully we get into clinic soon. I run a channel on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it, all the outlets, called DentalLyfe. My main purpose is to inspire pre-dents and other dental professionals to get into the dental field, like anyone that has interest in the dental field. I had a very rough road getting into dental school up until I met this guy that's joining us today, Dr. Jeff Eaton. And the first time that I met him, he gave a very inspirational talk about paying it forward and the power of paying it forward. So I'm creating this mini series with some of the pre-dental students, now dental students that I have inspired, thanks to Dr. Eaton inspiring me, and they are joining me in creating this video series, paying it forward to anybody that can use our help. Dr. Eaton, during the first time that I met him, the talk that he gave to my then pre-dental group was a quote. It goes something like, no matter how successful you get, always send the elevator back down. And that quote always stuck with me up until this day and for the rest of my life. So this is my mission. This is DentalLyfe's mission. This is what I tell them: always send the elevator down. There is no reason to be cocky. Just be humble and do your part and give back to the community. I immigrated to the US from Egypt in 2003 with my immediate family. And right now I live in, currently, like right now, I live in Corona, California. No pun intended, it's actual city, look it up. But I used to live in Mesa, Arizona during the normal school year. And I talked to you guys about the struggle that I had getting into dental school. I applied 2 times to the DT 3 times, so it was quite the struggle. Every time I improved some aspect, and it's not until the second time that I applied and the third time that I took the DT that I came across Dr. Eaton, and then he directed me down the right path into dental school, and he was such an inspiration, still is. How is it going?
Good to see you again, Sam.
Thank you.
First of all, Sam, you're one of my your proudest moments, is getting to know you, getting to see your success, see you through your struggles and see you through the other side, and see that you truly do embrace that concept of helping people behind you, And I think the quote goes something like that: if you make it to the top, don't forget to send the elevator back down. And I like that concept of always helping the person behind you. And you say that I helped you, but I don't recall really giving you any help. In fact, I remember I gave you a hard time and challenged you.
Yes, you did. And that was my version of help that I needed.
Okay, yes, all right. I wasn't sure if you remember that. I felt like I was a little mean to you one time, because one of the things I remember about our early introductions to each other was that you were hopeful that you could wrangle your way into school without having pushed your grades up higher, and I was always challenging you to push your grades up higher, to get your DAT scores up higher, to be the best that you could be. And I remember you took the DAT 3 times.
Yep.
And my concern was that you came from a tough background. It was tough for you having to move, relocate, the language barriers, a lot of upheaval. I think you've done an amazing job. So I saw in you a person who was so much more than what shows on paper. And like a lot of people and a lot of candidates, there's so much more about them than what an admissions committee gets to see on paper. So much more than just a grade, so much more than just a score. A grade is kind of like the weather. If we want to talk about climate, that's a long-term situation, and that's what grades are. And if we talk about weather, that's just the weather today. That's all the DAT score is. The DAT score only tells how you were one day in your life. Now, the grades show how you are overall, but that doesn't show who you are as a person. And all a lot of grades show is how well you can perform on a test and spout back information on demand, but it doesn't show knowledge, it just shows ability to perform on command. So those skills are important and they're good benchmarks, but they don't show the whole picture. What I always look for on the admissions committee was those intangibles, those things that you don't see on paper. Heart, commitment, compassion, dedication, human kindness. Those don't show up anywhere on the application. I looked and you don't find them. There isn't a mark that you can box that say, I have compassion, I have dedication, I love human beings, I'm going to be make the world a better place. There's no box you can mark that says that. And so it's up to people on admissions committee to tease that information out. I was able to see that in you right away, and that's what impressed me. And I knew in my heart that when you got into school, you were going to do the things that you said you were going to do. And by golly, you are. You have impacted so many people behind you. And you've been an inspiration, because there was a time when people with less conviction would have given up. You dug a deep hole getting started. It was hard for you to overcome that you had low grades in the beginning until you found your groove, and you were having to work as well as go to school. It was a lot harder for you than it was for other people. But admissions committees don't get to see that, gee, this guy is taking 12, 14 units of school and working full time at the same time. People don't get to see that. And I'm amazed that you did as well as you could do. But for a lot of people on admissions committees, they say, well, I'm looking for a straight A student. And there's just so much more to what a candidate is than those grades.
How is the COVID-19 treating you?
Well, it's been different. It's been a very unique situation, but like all dentists, we learn how to adapt and move on. Time where we're closed down, I'm seeing patients only for emergencies, both in Palm Springs and up in San Francisco. I have a practice still in San Francisco. And so I'm only doing emergencies. So with a little extra time, last week I gave a Zoom lecture at UC San Francisco that you attended on. What was the talk on?
The talk was about a case that a patient had oral pathology, and it was a collaboration between you, an oral pathologist,
That's one of my former students, yeah. So that was an interesting case, wasn't it?
I loved it. I loved every aspect of it, and the fact that whatever we're learning at my school is being taught everywhere else. So it's good to see dentistry uniformed across the entire nation at different schools.
It's good to look for similarities rather than the differences.
Yep.
One of the things that I've noticed is there are more similarities than there are differences in dentistry and in life and in people. And there are more things that bring us together than there are things that try and push us apart.
I couldn't agree more, Doc. I couldn't agree more. COVID-19 has been impacting me in a positive way because I get to give back to the community. I'm dedicating some time out of my schedule to make this video serious, and then I will be having guests down the line, so hopefully you guys benefit from it. It's going to be such a pleasure for me to make something like that for you guys.
Short version, okay, UC Riverside undergrad, UC San Francisco School of Dentistry. And after I graduated from there in '83, I came back and was a professor there for the last 26 years. Then I relocated to Southern California, and I'm very hopeful that I'll be working at a prominent dental school down here when the COVID is over. I can't say who it is yet, but let's just say talks are in advanced stage, and I'll be helping set up an implant program, as well as working in a satellite clinic in a community service kind of a situation for a prominent dental school. My calling has always been giving back to the community. So for the last 25 years, I was working with the community dental clinic through our dental school in San Francisco, helping homeless people. And that was my real niche. But also, I'm in private practice. I still have a private practice. My expertise is in doing dental implants. I'm also on faculty at the Bay Area Implant Institute, one of the faculty there, and I've traveled around the world giving lectures in implants, and I'm a graduate also of Loma Linda's Maxi implant program.
Yep.
So I'm a lifelong learner. So, but I'm still practicing dentistry, and I'm still looking forward to doing more teaching and giving back to the community.
What's the name of your practice?
Dentistry and all that jazz is
yes, that is it.
Yeah.
I love the name.
I'm glad you loved it. I was a music major in undergrad before I switched to science. So my road to get into dental school was a lot tougher because I didn't have a strong science background. And I had to really get up to speed quickly. And when I came to dental school, biochemistry and pharmacology, that was tough for me. And what was a review for a lot of other of my colleagues was first time for me. So I had to really dig in, and it was a little more of a struggle. Made me appreciate why they wanted to see people who had pretty good science background and strong science grades, who could keep up and not hold the group back. I could understand that a little bit better. Yeah, it took me 2 times to get into school. I took the DAT twice. First time I just tried to study on my own, and I just hammed it up and didn't do very impressively. And the second time I signed up for a review course and got study buddies and practiced really hard and did mock tests. And when I went in, I was ready to kill it. And so I registered pretty good on the DAT exam, I recall, although it was a long time ago. And so I had okay grades, but not super grades. And I had a pretty okay DAT. And so I was not anyone's first choice in school. I think I was towards one of the last people picked in my class, if I recall. And yet I have gone on to what I think has been a rewarding career, and I have really enjoyed what I do. I still enjoy doing it. The program that I helped create with the homeless program at UC has won a lot of awards. It's done over $1.5 million in free care to the homeless. It's something I'm particularly proud of. I really enjoyed when you came up and observed it. It's great seeing all those people, starting with 2 people and 3 people, and then now has 82 people every week out there helping to provide for the community. I hope that you can start a program, or you get involved with programs. I knew you were participating in one in Riverside.
Yes.
In the school, and that really helped. I think that helped show your commitment to admissions committees. So I would recommend to people who are trying to get into school that they do stuff that also shows their commitment to community by doing some volunteerism. Doesn't have to be in dentistry, it can be in anything. It can be in visiting people in hospitals.
I'm gonna go down the timeline. So where did we meet and how did we meet? So I went back to some of the pictures that I have, and just like you, I love to take pictures and keep record of everything, because I believe in moments and the value of pictures, and how one picture is worth 1,000 words, especially when you meet the right person, and for that person to have such an impact on your life, to go and look back at the pathway it took you to get where you are. So March 28th, 2017, during our spring break, that was my senior year at UCR. The UCR's Future Dentist Club, we decided to make a trip, the entire club, and go to San Francisco, the Bay Area, to visit the dental schools up there. So UOP, University of Pacific, the only one in the nation that has a 3-year program, and then UCSF, University of California, San Francisco. And we stayed there for, I believe, 3 to 4 days, and we toured around the city. We loved SF.
So I remember when we first met, and the talk that I was giving was about not getting discouraged, because it's really easy to get discouraged. And a lot of people in your group that came up from my alma mater of UC Riverside were reapplicants, people who had to apply a second time. And I will tell your audience, I had to apply twice to get in. I was passed over the first year. And several of my friends who got passed over gave up and went on to other things. but I hung in there another year, and it was that important to me. And it made me better having to wait the year. It made me more mature, and it made me more committed. So when I see roadblocks that are put in front, I don't look at those brick walls to keep me out. I look at they're put there to keep the other people out who don't want it enough. And I knew that when I saw how hard you worked and how dedicated you were about finding a way in and being flexible, about having to go to a school further away from your home, that was a bigger challenge. But you're doing it, and you're doing really well.
We saw how much the community service is needed in such a very crowded population, and we were very affected by how much homeless people are just roaming the streets. And for you and for UCSF to create such a powerful community service program, the CDC, UCSF Community Dental Clinic, it was very heartwarming for me and my pre-dental friends at that time. So you gave an amazing talk from what I recall, and I was cleaning up my phone because I got a new phone, and I listened to the recording that I had during that talk, and it kind of gave me goosebumps because just going down memory lane and seeing the struggle that I was going through and meeting the right person that helped me and inspired me to keep pushing forward, keep breaking walls, like you said. And this was kind of what motivated me to create this Pay It Forward series with me and my friends. And it was just amazing what you said and what you did and what you showed us. We learned about the Pay It Forward concept through the quote that you talked about, which was the elevator. I call it the elevator quote. And any pre-dental students that I help, I always mention that quote, and I'm like, make sure once you get into dental school, please, I challenge you, I encourage you to send the elevator back down. You will not realize how much of an impact you're making on someone else's life until you send the elevator back down. So can you tell me the quote of the elevator?
Oh, you like that? Okay. If you make it to the top, don't forget to send the elevator back down.
Yes, sir. That is the quote.
Whenever I help a dental student, I always say, and you're going to owe me something. And they go, oh, sure, whatever. Yeah, I don't owe me. You remember I told you owe me something, man. And I said, well, how can I pay you back? I go, you don't pay me back. It's the next person behind you.
Yeah.
So I want you to go find somebody who's struggling and go help them. Because quite often the person who is struggling won't hold their hand up or won't ask for help. You have to go tease it out. You have to go look for them. So one of the things I used to do at dental school was I would go ask some of the students, how's everyone doing in your class? And invariably they would tell me about someone who was falling behind or someone who wasn't quite keeping up and someone who was having a difficult time. And I would go and just go sit in a chair next to them and they go, oh, do I know you? And I go, not yet, but you're going to. I'm here to help you. And only if you want help. And they go, oh, what's in it for you? And I go, well, you're going to owe me. Oh, what do I owe you? You're going to help the next guy. And that feels really rewarding to do. So I wanted to ask you now, you found this old speech I gave 2 years ago, and now you've got 2 more years experience. Was I full of shit, or was it, if you look at some of the things and go, oh, no, that's not right.
The only thing that you were full of is inspiration and motivation, and that still holds true. So I disagree with you. You were full of a lot of surprises, and it wasn't just about dentistry. It was like that talk really inspired me just in life in general to be a kinder person, to be humble, to inspire someone else. It doesn't have to be in dentistry. It doesn't have to be tooth related. It can be non-odontogenic, like they say nowadays.
Yes.
I was listening to a lecture.
I like it, yes.
But yeah, it's listening to that talk, and you said like if there is a classroom that has 90 people, and like 5 of them or 10 of them need help, and whereas one other person needs desperate help more than these like 89 or 10 people, then you let them figure it out and focus on that one singular person to help them, because they are the ones right on the cusp of like flunking or falling out of dental school or whatever program they're in. Mm-hmm. So that really spoke to me to kind of put me back on track, and I'm glad that I went out that spring break and met you in person.
Well, too. It's been a real honor getting to know you and getting to see what you're doing with your life and how you're making the best of this opportunity. You know, you got a chair and an opportunity to sit there at that school because someone, more than someone, a lot of people on admissions committees at your school saw some greatness in you. But beyond your grades, beyond your scores, there's something they saw about you that said this person has greatness within. And they're not wrong. And you're proving that they're not wrong every day. And all I would say to all the candidates and people who are trying to get into school, try and let that greatness come out. You know, in all of us who want to become dentists or want to become health professionals, there is a desire deep within us, a desire to help someone else, a desire to share our gifts and help someone's life become better, whether it be with teeth or hair or skin or other organs or just in social settings. There is something about people in the healing arts that want to help our fellow man. All dental school does is give you tools and knowledge to get the love that you have in your heart out through your hands and into the hands of someone else who needs it.
I honestly couldn't agree more. And using, like, I told you, like, during that visit with my pre-dental group, I talked to you about like reapplying and retaking the DET and my love and passion for dentistry. I have a picture, I'll show it up in the video, because I just felt like that moment was the what do you call it? I just felt like that moment needs to be documented, because in a couple of years I'm gonna look back at it and I'm like, thank God I took a picture of that moment and that instant.
You know, I'll tell you my reflection back on the day we met is as you walked away, and like many other students who come up to me and said, I really, really want this. I really want to try and get in. I'm really working hard. I'm dedicating my life to doing this. I want to do this, but my grades aren't that good and my scores aren't that good. And I know how to encourage people. It just means that they're going to have to work a lot more. And as they walk away, I always wonder if they're really going to do it, and you don't know until time passes if someone is really that committed. And as you walked away, I thought, well, I hope that guy really hangs in there, because it sounds like he would be a wonderful dentist. It sounds like you're going to be a good human being and a good professional. But it was going to be a lot more work. And a lot of times I had to tell you that, and I don't think you enjoyed hearing it. You got more work to do. You got more work to do. And I remember I had professors who came and told me, some of the crowns, I'm going to point to one of my crowns. I was doing my early crowns.
Got an open margin.
And I used to try and convince my professor that that was okay. And it wasn't that great yet. And he would say, well, that's a good start. I'm going to go back and do some more on it. And I didn't want to hear him say that. I wanted him to just sign me off and let me get on to the next project. So some of the professors that were the hardest on me were the ones I learned the most from. And I don't mean that they were mean. They were just inspired me to be the best version of myself. And so I know I had to tell you some unpleasant things that you were hoping that, as I recall, you'd been a dental assistant, right?
For 8 years, yeah.
You were hoping that that was going to offset low grades and scores. And
Yes, I did, and boy, was I wrong.
well, it wasn't better. And you said, will that give me extra leg up in the interview process? And I said, only if you're applying to become a dental assistant somewhere.
Yep.
And you didn't like hearing that, I remember. And I remember hanging up the phone thinking, that was kind of mean. But I really needed to get it through to you that if you really wanted to be competitive, you had to go back and you had to take that DAT again. You had to punch that score up into a competitive level so that you could be at least looked at. Because in the admissions program, a lot of times the lower packets aren't even looked at. And I was afraid that your packet would not even get opened up. So, you know, in these application processes, I sat on an admissions committee last year. They had 3,000 applications for 100 spots. So the bottom third, they just looked at grades and just pushed them. And if they weren't beyond a certain minimum, they just passed them over and didn't even look inside to see what the person was about. And I knew that you were so much more than your grades and scores, that you needed to get up into that competitive area where they would at least take the time to find out who you were. And I knew that if you got an interview somewhere, that you would convince people that you were the real deal. And as I hope the people that you're trying to inspire now, that if they get to where they get an interview, that they are able to communicate their love and their dedication for this and their desire to do this, and be able to win over people in an interview process. That it could, those kind of things that can offset grades that are just okay. You can't get in with bad grades, but you can get in with just okay grades if you have other things to offset. If you've done a lot of volunteer stuff, if you've done a lot of community service, if you have a background where you've done something really unique, then that sets you apart from the other people. If you've done those things, by all means, get it out in the application so that people know that.
Yeah, I always tell pre-dental students when I advise them, I always tell them no community service or no extracurricular activity is minute or insignificant. I'm like, whatever you did, the actions that you took, the time that you spent, document it, put it in your application. It's for the admissions committee to say, okay, that was like whatever that guy or that girl was playing an instrument, that's insignificant to dentistry. Whereas where I look at it, I'm like, playing an instrument, such as yourself, it's such an amazing thing. And you will see a lot of people in the dental profession are always like musicians. Either they pick it up after they're done with dental school or prior to. And I think it's a craft within itself.
Well, there's a whole right brain, left brain aspect of dentistry. There's the scientific and the factual, and then there's the abstract. And so I think dentistry is a nice blend of science and art. And so it does tend to attract a lot of people who either are musically inclined or artistically inclined or creatively inclined or abstract thinkers. I think those make some of the best dentists.
I couldn't agree more. October 18th, 2017 was the next time that I met you. And it was pertaining to the UCSF CDC Community Dental Clinic invitation to shadow you. I remember I was talking to you that Monday. So the CDC, that clinic is done every Wednesday night. So I remember that Monday I was talking to you, and you invited me to come and shadow you to see how UCSF and how community service is done at a school environment. And I literally hung up with you, went online, booked my flight that Monday night, and I flew out on Wednesday, spent a couple days in San Francisco, and that ticket was hella expensive. It's hella is a very Californian thing to say. But I saw how the D1 and D2 students were, like you say, running the show, and how you were helping them to manage the upperclassmen, the D3s and the D4s, which were the people that provided the treatment for the homeless population of San Francisco. So the entire trip was very expensive, but again, I didn't look at it as how much money I spent. I look at it as an overall experience, because out of that experience was the best thing that happened to me, was because after I applied to ASDOH and I was filling out the secondary applications, I thought I had all my letter of reference done and all that. And then when I was going over the secondary application for ASDOH, they asked for a recommendation from a community service supervisor. And I'm like, the best one that I have interacted with on multiple times so far is Dr. Eaton. And I remember I didn't give you enough time to write it, so you were just like rushing writing me a letter of recommendation. But I just had a gut feeling that it will be the best letter of recommendation I can get, and it will be my ticket into ASDOH, because you saw what I'm capable of, and you saw how crazy I am to take your word, and like you invited me, and I'm like, is this guy trying to invite me just to kind of like waste my money, or this guy actually wants to test if I'm gonna actually pull through or how dedicated I am? But I'm like, you know what? I showed up, I booked the tickets, and at the end of the day, this was the positive thing that came out of it, was your literal recommendation. And honestly, I think that was the thing that really made the admissions committee at ASDOH look at me just overall as a whole person, not just my grades or my DT scores or other community service that I have done, or just being a dental assistant for that long. It showed them how much I actually care about giving back and how serious I am about it.
Good. I'm glad that was helpful.
Yep.
I would invite students that I thought really were motivated and would benefit from seeing and getting to be observe the clinic to come up and observe. And there were ones who would come up and spend 10 minutes and then be ready to go see the sights of San Francisco. I can understand that. And there were ones who would stay the whole evening, and that was you. And as I recall, you also jumped in, were helping, running and getting things and participating. Didn't you do some translating that night too?
Yes.
You did.
Dr. Bishoy, Besada, he was an international student during that time when I visited.
Oh, yes, okay. Yes, okay.
He's a family friend of mine. And then after I hung up with you, I called him and I'm like, how serious is this guy? Like, is he actually serious? Like, he wants me to, and he's like, dude, if Dr. Eaton like invited you to the clinic, take him up on his offer. Like, don't let the offer slide away. And I'm like, okay, I trust you and I trust Dr. Eaton.
Well, I'm glad I was able to write a good letter for you. I think I still have that somewhere in my computer.
Yeah, somewhere.
Was it a good letter? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Must have been good. It worked.
I know, right? It must have been. And actually, that night, you and Dr. T, I remember, you guys invited me on a sushi date together. We talked about teeth and all that good stuff.
Who all went?
It was me, you, a couple of the students that were participating there, and then Dr. How do you say his name? Starts with a T. Yeah, BFF. He's amazing.
Yes, a good friend of mine.
Yep.
Yeah, I like catching meal with the students and get to know who they are.
It's
I thought it was really good that you I like to see pre-dental students also network with students who are there, so you get a good flavor of the real story and not the company line, and not just what school wants you to see. You know, school's trying to sell you back too. They want to try and recruit people, and so they try and only put their best foot forward. So it's good for you to get to talk to the students who are in there and see, because every school has warts and blemishes and has problems, and no school is perfect. But let me tell you about UCSF.
All right.
I have a love-hate relationship with UCSF, but let me tell you about UCSF. In my mind and in my heart, UCSF is perfect. Because years ago, they gave me an opportunity to go to school there and to become a dentist and to be able to practice a skill and a craft and a career that I still love 26 years later. It's brought me such joy and such satisfaction to be able to help people in the community and in the world, and to be able to continue to learn. So when I say it's perfect, I don't mean that the programs are perfect, or that the faculties are perfect, or that the training sessions are perfect, or that the way you're treated is perfect. What I mean is they gave you and me an opportunity to go there and get our degrees and to do something that we both love very much. And that's perfect.
The song that was sung by John Legend, I believe, Perfect Imperfections. So that's how I see every dental school. It's a perfect imperfection. There's these little minute things that you just need to polish and whatnot, but overall, every dental school I think is perfect in its own way, because it inspired that person to graduate, have an education, move on, and be an influencer to other people, whether it's patients, pre-dental students, their partner, or whatever. That person is a graduate with that school, and it will always forever stick with you. And I think at the best school, and you said it yourself, you were like, whatever school you get accepted to, whatever school you decide to go to, that is the best school in the nation, in the world, ever, period. No whats or ifs about it. And I agree. I think, in my opinion, ASDOH is the best school ever. So thank you for like saying that. I always like tell pre-dents whenever I advise them, I'm like, doesn't matter whatever school you get accepted to, as long as you accepted to one school, make that school the best. And you have the courage and the power to make that experience the best experience possible. So don't go around blaming other people for it being the worst experience or whatever. No, you have the power to shift things around to make sure that you influence other people within your school and outside your school. And that's a lesson that you taught me that I'll never forget.
You know, I was amazed when I went back to school and was teaching, and I looked around and I looked at students who were thriving and doing well. I realized that I had a totally different experience than they had. I was having to work part-time while I was going to school, and I was raising a son, and I was divorced, and it was a lot more challenging for me when I was in school. So I didn't do a lot of the things extra that's available to do in school. And I look at people like you who are in school, and you're there 12 and 14 hours a day, and you can't get enough of it, and you're getting every little bit out of it you can, and you're actually enjoying your experience. And I realized in life that, you know, dental school's tough. Anything worth doing is tough. But dental school has a lot of challenges. It makes it tough. But in life, pain may be mandatory, but suffering is always optional. And the idea of something being joyous or being tedious can often just be a matter of attitude. And when I came to your school and looked at you and your classmates, I realized you guys are all very passionate about being there. You're excited about being there because, you know, it's a privilege getting to go. Yeah. For every 100 of you that get in, there were 3,000 who were trying. It's a real privilege to get there, to get something that you wanted so long, to get into that and then not be grateful and not be happy and not be joyous about it. Doesn't make any sense.
I think it would be your loss if you don't make the best out of that experience, because dental school, it's 4 years, minimum 4 years, or maximum 4 years, I would say, because
I don't think it took longer.
UOP is 3 years, so that's the that's the outlier. But I think 4 years, they can be either the best 4 years of your life or the worst 4 years of your life. But I think it's you hold the power and the courage. Without saying just dental school, I say any experience in life. It's your winning mindset and mentality of how you approach every situation and every circumstance, because you're going to face a lot of patients down the line. During my experience as a dental assistant, but I worked with so many doctors, and I saw the school of thought and which school they went to and how they approached every situation. I'm standing there absorbing how much I agree with them and how much I could have done or would have done with that situation in a different way. Mm-hmm. And I think it like my gears are always like rolling, like the what if, and okay, I would have cut done it that way or that way. And I think it's always good to be always thinking. Third time that I met you was May 22nd, 2019. So I invited you to ASDOH for the lunch and learn. The lunch and learn was about platelet-rich-fibrin BRF therapy. Honestly, I think it was phenomenal because we were G1s at that time, and then after we did the implant and perio and all that stuff, like my classmates that attended it, they were like, okay, I know what BRF is and the therapy and what it entails. So it was amazing to have that experience and that talk prior to actually getting an actual lecture that's worth a grade.
Usually that's taught at the postdoctorate level, but I didn't have to dumb it down any for you guys, and you guys hung in there really well.
Yes, we did. So yeah, we had a great turnout, and my classmates loved it. And I would love to have you back for another talk, hopefully in the near future when everything goes back to normal. You met some of my close friends. I gave you a tour of Sim Clinic, and you got to meet some of my friends. And yeah, I showed you around campus, and it's amazing. And just a side note for all the pre-dental dental students out there, make sure you go to every lunch and learn. 99.9% of the time has free food there, or you have to have like a membership. Once you graduate dental school, you will have to pay big bucks for these types of courses and information. So make sure you're paying a lot of money for dental school as it is. So this is kind of like counted into your tuition. So just kind of like a wink wink, I would say. Make sure you guys attend a lot of lunch and learns because they're just amazing.
And by the way, I really enjoyed coming to your school and getting to present there. It's a fantastic school, and I think you're getting a wonderful experience getting to go there. Yeah. So thanks for inviting me to talk with you today. I'm really enjoying and looking forward to this.
After the lunch and learn, I talked to you, and you said that you haven't been to Arizona in quite a while, and the fact that you came out there, it made it more personable, and it just meant everything for you.
I'm going back to that area because one of my very dear friends was a dentist who lived there, and he died in a tragic accident. And so it's been really hard for me to want to come back there again. And I didn't have a reason to come back there. And when I stepped off the plane, it was very emotional to come back to the area, to land at the same airport I used to go visit my friendship. Dr. Rollins was a fantastic dentist, and he died while he was helping other people. He was in a plane crash, but he was going to serve other people with the Rotary Club and the Flying Rotarians. And he was just an inspirational person in my life. So, and I thought he would have been really happy to know that I came back to his hometown area to give a lecture and to give a talk and to give some service, because that's something he was very excited about doing, and that he was very committed to doing. He was a great man. So it was tough for me to come back, and but you know, life goes on, and the big HakunaMatata, my friend, it's all this big circle of life.
Yep.
Now I have you as a good friend.
I will try to fill the shoes. It's going to be big shoes to fill, but like you telling me the story was just like very heartwarming, and the fact that you kind of overcame that distance or fear of wanting to go back to that place where you went there for the funeral and all that. I'm like, thank you deeply. Thank you for coming and actually agreeing, because if you told me that from the beginning, I'm like, nope. If it's you have your personal reasons, I completely agree. You can do a Zoom, but it meant the world for everybody.
Actually, you know, you invited me and I committed, and then I found out where it was afterwards, and it was too late to back out. But also, you know, I needed to get over that little bump about having emotional ties to certain areas and stuff, and it was healing, so it was good because it was about dentistry, and it was something that he loved. It's something he inspired me, so I felt like his presence was there a little bit that day as well. You know, it was nice.
The last time that I met you was September 28th, 2019. I remember having an exam that Friday, and I booked a 6-hour night charter bus that dropped me off at the bus stop at UCR parking lot, and then I got an Uber, hopped in, and we drove all the way to San Bernardino, where the CDAcares, the California Dental Association, they host something called the CDAcares 100% free clinic. I think they do 2 events a year throughout different cities in California. I would recommend any pre-dental in California to look into it, because that is one thing that makes your application stand out.
A little inside tip is that you will meet a lot of dentists there, and a lot of them are on faculty at dental schools, and they're good connections to have, and it's a good experience for you. You can get to see, this is what you'd be getting into. Do you really want to do this? But also it provides a great service to the community. So I had a great time, and I reconnected with dentists there that I hadn't seen in years. It was a lot of fun, and they gave you a totally cool t-shirt, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I still have it somewhere. But it was being held at the National Orange Show Event Center. So I remember you telling me when we took the picture, you were working in the POS department there.
Mm-hmm.
That you played there, or you went to a concert there back in the day, because you were originally from San Bernardino.
I used to have live concerts there when I was a musician.
That's awesome for you to.
I saw Jimi Hendrix there.
So full circle, dentistry and music with you always.
Yeah, I looked in that auditorium, and this is where I saw Jimi Hendrix when I was a kid.
That's amazing. And yeah. Honestly, the CDAcares, just for everybody that's watching this, I'll show some pictures. It'll give you appreciation of how global or massive dentistry is, seeing how many patients we impact that day. Mm-hmm. I think that event was my 5th or 6th CDAcares. I have been doing it since I started in dentistry back in 2011 as a dental assistant. After all this long discussion that we had, what is one memorable thing that you remember about our continued friendship?
Well, you're a remarkable historian, and you are, you must be a real pack rat, because you apparently save and notate everything. But I've been really impressed that you are compassionate, your kindness, your dedication. And from the minute I saw you, you told me that you were dedicated and committed to wanting to do this. And time has proven that to be true. You also told me that you had a good heart and that you wanted to help other people. And time has proven that to be true. So for me, it's been a real joy meeting someone who is genuine and sincere. And one of the things that you promised, that you told me, was that if you got into school, you were going to try and help other people so that it wasn't such a long and lonely journey. We both recall those times trying to get into school, when you're on that bubble, that terrible time where you're not in anywhere, and you're wondering if all the time you put in has been a waste, and whether it's ever going to turn out for you, and whether you're ever going to be accepted somewhere, and where you start doubting yourself, am I going to be good enough? And so getting to see you prove that you are who you said you were going to be, and that you are a person that I am honored to call a colleague and honored to call a friend.
I honestly don't know what to say to that, but I will answer the same question. What is one thing? Because honestly, you gave me more than one thing. That's not fair. That's not what I asked for. But one thing that's memorable about our friendship, I think it's you challenging me every step of the way. Because I remember studying at Starbucks, I reached a roadblock, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call Dr. Eaton. And you probably hated my guts for it, because I would call you around 7 p.m. You're finishing up your day at the practice or at the school, you're tired. And I would call you and you would pick up, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is actually cares enough to pick up and answer. And I'll tell you, okay, Dr. Eaton, I suck at math. And you're like, okay, I suck at math too, or whatever. And you just kept, and you're like, that one subject, you're gonna let it stop you from getting to next school? And I'm like, hell no, I can't. So just just talking to you and you just making everything seem doable and just manageable, I think, and just making me challenge myself every step of the way, not just getting into dental school, but getting through dental school, giving back to the dental community and creating this dental life was me keeping my word. And I'm very big about keeping my word, if you couldn't tell already. I told you verbatim that if and when, and that was the thing, I told you if and when, because in my heart, I knew I was gonna get into dental school. Some dental school, doesn't matter where, but I'm gonna get in. And I always told myself that in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get in dental school. So I tell pre-dents that are applying, don't say if I get into dental school, change that mentality, change that mindset. Tell yourself, if and when I get into dental school, I'm gonna do this and that. And that's what I keep telling myself every day. Now it's if and when I get into dental school, and when I get through dental school and finish and graduate, I'm gonna do this, this and that. And I honestly, I think I kept my word, and I continue keeping my word to help other people, to inspire them to make the journey more manageable. For me, I didn't have anybody to help me. I'm the first doctor in my family, and I think that for me, I'm doing dentistry because I want to do dentistry, not because my family wants to be a doctor for the title or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I have such a great passion about dentistry and the process of it. For me, I struggled through the process of getting into dental school, and for me to meet someone the second time around, like applying for the second time, retaking the DT, I felt like that was the appropriate time. That I'm very faithful. I felt like you were God sent at the right time, because if I met you the first time, I would have kind of like brushed you off. Okay, like this guy is too humble for me. I'm gonna apply in. I'm not gonna listen to his advice. I'm gonna get in on my own. I wasn't gonna approach you, because during that time in 2017, I was very introverted, and it took a lot of courage for me to get out of my bubble and actually speak and talk to you. And look where that got me. Now I'm making YouTube videos, and I'm helping other people, because it's the ripple effect. And I know everybody in bio heard that term before, the ripple effect. It's you just tossing a rock into the water and just appreciating the ripple effect that it has on the rest of the water particles. Anything that I do, and this video, once it gets released, I feel like it's gonna have a ripple effect. And I encourage, challenge, inspire everybody that watches this video to if this video serves you in any way, or any other videos that I'm going to be creating after this, if it serves you in any way, please do something to serve other people, to help other people. Because for me to do that, now it's like, at first it was me keeping my word, but now I feel like this is just bigger than my word. It's bigger than me.
Taking on another life.
Exactly.
Let's throw out a couple little tidbits of some good, solid information or some advice for some people. Let's suggest that someone who is in that position that you and I were in, where you don't have, you mentioned this, not having family in the industry, not having anybody that you knew. Let's talk about what someone who's in that position could do. How about they should find a near peer, find somebody who's in the same situation in school, who wants to go to dental school. So you're in the same boat. So you find a peer that's even with you. Then let's recommend that they find someone a little bit above, someone who's already gotten into school. You should find someone. If you don't know someone yet, look around, ask around, find someone who's in dental school, first or second year, get to know them, introduce yourself. If they're not nice to you, go find someone else. Find someone who will take you under their wing and tell you how they got in and follow their advice. Then find someone who just got out of school and follow their advice. Then find someone who's been out of school for a while doing it, either a faculty or in the community, and follow their advice. And you can have big brothers, big sibs, big sisters, parent figures. If you don't have a dad or an uncle or an aunt or a mom who's a dentist already, go get one. Go adopt one. Because there's always someone above who remembers what it's like and would be happy to give you some advice. And you don't have to invent the wheel all over again. It's already been invented. Yep. And, you know, you and I worked too hard. And once you finally opened up your ears and you listened and you figured out how to do the things you needed to do to become a good candidate, you kicked the door open. Yep. You got that golden ticket.
Knocking the wall down.
You knocked the wall down. And the nice thing is, once you got in, that was one gift. But what you've done with that opportunity and what you're giving back, that's your gift back. And your gift back to the world has been something that's pretty fun to watch. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Hey, this has been a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeff Eaton, for joining me on the Pay It Forward segment done by DentalLyfe, and my colleagues are going to be coming up and featured in the upcoming interviews. And I'm going to be having you in a couple segments in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be looking forward to talking with you soon. You have been a blessing in my life, and you're going to always, sorry, but you're going to always hear me say that. You know, I'm tired of it, but I give credit where credit is due.
You're too nice. Well, it's a joy talking with you. You have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Eaton. Bye-bye.
Good luck, everybody.